This is a story about how the best sang and the whole public of 19th-century Europe called ze lines in Circassia. That is, in translation, the Lion of Circassia. The harsh Shapsug Viking, the words that carried to St. Petersburg, even in the common life ended with boundless popular support and respect. A cruel and rude warrior, but at the same time he amazed his contemporaries with the ability to dance and sing in different voices. Is it any wonder that the life and death of a folk hero, fanned by mysticism and riddles? Kyzbech Tuguzhuko was born in 1777 year in the family of the Shapsug prince Tukuz Yermashukovich Shirodikov, who in those years still had a vice over the French people. Kyzbech had many brothers, but it is not known for them what position he was engaged in for them. In those years, their family lived in the village of Pyanaz on the Ataku River in the modern Crimean district of Krasnodar Krai. The first mystery of the life of Kyzbech is his participation in the Battle of Kiev in 1796. The reason for this battle was the uprising of the peasants of the Attic Shapsugs and Attic Znatics against their creators and princes, whom they expelled. An important fudge of the peasants. Non-Christians, please do not confuse and find in advance to insult me in the comments saying that I will answer to the peasants. This is not Christy, it's different, please do not confuse. The last straw of the peasants' patience was the murder by the nobles from the belly of the Zivik merchants who had stayed with one of the free Shapsu Christians. The question is, on whose side was the 19-year-old Hut of Shladik in the battle, in which he almost lost his head, getting off with a deep scar, deep wounds. He fought against his princely family on the side of the Shapsuz Christians, or was among those who represented the aristocracy, in which the peasants were allowed to return and live on common people's rights without privilege, an open question. That is, it is still unknown who he was fighting for then. Kyzbech acquired its fame in the period from 1810 to 1839 years. Almost all the large attics in the Cossack village and linear fortifications during this period are associated with his name. Apparently, the first experience of the Spek of participation in the attack of Adikov was at the Orlinsky post, where they hacked down Cossack Colonel Lev Tikhovsky. At the very beginning of 1830, the KBCH gathered a large party of horsemen, about 5,000 people, with the aim of attacking the village of Elizavetinskaya and Yekaterinodar. The horsemen reached the village of Elizavetinskaya, but unexpectedly met resistance from Cossacks and artillery cannons. The detachment was surrounded by the Cossack troops of Colonel Bloodless. The battle lasted 6 hours, and despite reinforcements of 2,000 horsemen, Kyzbech was forced to leave with losses for the Kuban. A few months later, he repeated the attempt with 3,000 horsemen, but did not achieve success. In 1834 year, a Russian detachment of regular troops entered the Crimea twice. In one of these battles, he and 1,700 horsemen managed to detain a 14,000th detachment of Russian troops for a long time near the Opinsky fortification and not allowing him to connect with Podpolka. In the same year, an unusual episode occurred when Kyzbech with 1,200 horsemen collided with small detachments of line Cossacks. Admiring the courage and determination of the Cossacks, Kyzbech took part of the riders to the sides, fought in equal numbers, and some Kyzbech won. In those years, he actively attacked any Russian detachments that took place in the Republic of Circassia. Kyzbech acted not only as the leader of the campaign, but also infected the riders with a personal heroic example. At the beginning of June, 1837, he single-handedly attacked the guards of the Nikolaevsky fort, now the village of Shapsug. The soldiers captured all 9 rifles. From the report of the head of Georgia Fipsky fortification on April 22, 1838, and we learn that the Adigii, led by Kyzbech, did not give fortifications and then attacked the foragers, grass cutters, and the teams guarding them. And such attacks were carried out almost daily, and sometimes even several times a day. That year, Kyzbech made a brutal raid on the small villages of the Attics Genovese on the Karakuban island. These villages have long sworn allegiance to Russia, that is, they were traitors and were an easy target for attacks. That is, with the help of the Cossacks, the Genovese managed to escape from complete ruin. In October 1938, Kyzbech will receive several severe wounds. By that time, many of his sons had already fallen victims to the war, and this battle claimed another son of Kyzbech. This circumstance, according to the Aliyah ethographer and scout James Powell, did not touch his father, and he looked at his death, as in general they look at it here, as a definition from above. The description of the stern gaze of Kyzbech is found both in James Bale, and in another Englishman John Overd and a Crimean Tatar in the Russian service of Sultan Kandri, and later Fyodor Sherbin, the author of the history of the Kuban Cossack army. The day was called Kyzbeka Haji Uzbek, and it was he who managed to draw a portrait of this warrior for the first time, which he did not give away to Shirotuk. So many Kai hands of the artist Kyzbech received worldwide fame as the Lion of Circassia. As a smart and brave warrior, he was respected among opponents. Russian generals, you tried to enter into negotiations with them in order to lure them into the service of Russia. Emperor Nicholas I personally offered to purchase his portrait from Kyzbech for a large sum, all of them received only approximate refusals in response. And there is a story that Kyzbech received a personal greeting from the Egyptian Sultan. This is not a legend. Kyzbech was a unique combination of a man who respected the traditions of his people and at the same time, a devout Muslim. In his understanding, the norms of Islam have never contradicted the popular Atats and Habsa. In between the raids, Kyzbech managed to go to the Hajj sacred way to the century, where he was unsuccessfully recruited by the Egyptian Sultan. Spechi was attributed mystical traits. It was believed that he felt which campaign would be successful, and which Jablinda did not join the last one. Such an opinion about him became especially popular after the catastrophic death of the Adyghe detachment in the Battle of Kaus in 1621 year. Then a detachment of thousands of Atiks intended to go on a raid on the right bank of the Kuban, but the CSB categorically refused to participate in it. Cossack General Vasov discovered a party of 2,000 horsemen on the banks of the Kuban at night. In the presence of a small number of people, he used a trick and lit torches at a great distance, so that the impression was that the Amaz Savasi of the Cossack detachment. The Atiks did not expect to meet the enemy, were confused, and began to retreat chaotically. The detachments entered the shallow channel of the Kaus estuary. What is the bet for? The commotion. The horses sank into the shadows and sank. By morning, almost the entire squad was killed, they simply drowned. Only a few dozen people were saved. After that, the mystical glory of Kyzbech, predicting the outcome of the battle, only increased. Kyzbech Shuka died some time after one of the attacks at the end of 1839 year, in which he received several deep wounds. According to another version, on February 28, 1840, during the raids on Russian fortifications. Also after his death, his image is measured by a tick, during the baking in the form of ghosts on white horses and in the White Ocean. The faith of the holy warrior turned out to be so powerful. During his lifetime, the people composed battle songs in praise of Kyzbech, and this is a sign of the highest respect. The memory of this war is alive to this day. In May 2000 of the 18th year, a monument created by sculptors based on the illumination of James Stanislav Plov 1838 year was inaugurated in the village of Afipsi. So, this video is coming to an end. Please do not forget to be active, put likes, write comments, recommend this video to your friends and, of course, subscribe to the channel. This is very important for the promotion of this channel. Thanks in advance to everyone who shows an asset. And you can also support this channel with a ruble, that is, to deposit money. You will find all the necessary links in the description. Good luck to everyone.